This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, where we discuss everything there is to know in the world of sports. As always, I am Ben.
As always, I am Alex.
And we are back here on a Monday. We got a new schedule. We're going to be rolling out a show every single day.
Monday through Friday. Ben and I won't always be here at the same time. Sometimes it'll be just me. Sometimes it'll be Ben, I think. Maybe those are Fridays, right?
Yeah.
It'll be just me more often than Ben.
Yeah, I won't be here Tuesday or Thursday, unfortunately.
Leaving it all up to me, I
gotta get my scholarship. Gotta go to school.
Gotta get my scholarship.
Gotta get my scholarship.
Is that's
Pineapple Express?
Thank you. Yeah, Pineapple Express.
Danny McBride.
Scholarship.
Gotta get my scholarship.
I like that. Oh man. Well, you had a good weekend, yes? I'm assuming.
I did, yes. Got up Saturday, Sunday. Watched some soccer games. Had a nice, relaxing day yesterday. Didn't really do a whole lot of anything and just ate a pizza by myself.
Ooh.
And I finished it all by myself, and it was delicious.
What kind of pizza was it?
It was just a pepperoni. Just, classic. Right from Domino's.
I like what they do with their crust.
It's so garlicky, and I don't know what that
right.
seasoning is.
Just right.
But I just want to, lick my lips, you know what I mean? Because it's just it gets oh man, it's so almost like when you're eating a powdered donut, the same thing, that same effect. It's so good.
I'm familiar with their pizza. I enjoy it. There's one
so
right by my
good.
house.
Me too.
Is there one by your house?
There's one on Elk Grove Boulevard. Yeah, pretty close to my house.
Well, I mean, I can throw a football and hit the one at my house, So, boom,
bam,
bang. All right, well.
Speaking of footballs.
This episode, we're going to recap, obviously, preseason week 3. We're going to talk some notable storylines. There's quite a few coming from the dress rehearsal week of the NFL preseason. We're going to move to some baseball news and update you on some kind of crazy games that started about Thursday and headed through the weekend all the way up till Sunday. And then we're going to end the week on kind of a weekend recap, some basketball, some golf, and everything in between, some Little League baseball as well.
Yeah.
Little League World Series. It's going pretty crazy. But let's start with week 3, NFL preseason football. So I'll recap the scores real quick. It was a pretty good week. I would say, weirdly enough, week 1 and 2 were probably a little more exciting in terms of some action we saw. But this probably is more ripe in storylines. So the Falcons and the Dolphins. Dolphins won that one at home, 17-6. A game we'll get into in a minute, a little more in depth. The Seahawks won at home, 27-17 over the Cowboys. The Panthers lost at home to the Patriots, 19-17. Excuse me. The Redskins won at home, 21-16 over the Bills. The Browns lost on the road against the Buccaneers, 30-13. Steelers won one in New Orleans, 27-14. The Packers won on the road against the Niners, 21-10. Chiefs over the Bears, 23-7. Lions on the road lost it to the Ravens, 30-9. Eagles over the Colts, 33-23. The Battle of New York was taken by the Giants this year, 21-20. The Raiders lost one at home to the Titans, 27-14. The Rams lost their first game of the preseason to the Broncos, 17-9. And then the last 3 games on Sunday were Chargers-Vikings. Vikings continued an undefeated streak of 3-0 currently in the preseason, 23-10 over the Chargers. The Texans beat the Cardinals, who also remain undefeated. The Cardinals have yet to get a win there in the preseason, 34-24 Texans. And then the last game of the week, the Jaguars, won in comeback fashion over the Bengals, 26-21. But we're going to move back to some notable games. And let's start, Ben, with the Dolphins. I'm sorry, not Dolphins. I looked at the first one. The Seahawks hosting the Cowboys. That was a pretty big game for one pretty big reason, I guess you could say.
Yeah, Tony Romo is back in action.
He broke-a-did his back.
Again.
He broke it in his back.
The first time he got hit.
In action.
Right on the first sack. His third play of the game.
Was it the first time he got hit? I thought he went down one more time before that.
I think it was the first time he got sacked.
I mean, hey, I definitely understand.
It was definitely the first time he got sacked.
I definitely understand the injury. He got jumped on from behind and kind of got his back compressed, you know? At first, it was ruled that it probably wasn't very bad, you know? He said
he could have gone back in.
He's had a bad back before, and he said that the good thing was, you know, this is the first time he's really gotten tested in a few years, and if that's the most pain I have and I'm okay afterwards, then, you know, it's probably okay. It's probably good. Well, it is revealed, I think, Saturday. Yeah, I think it was revealed Saturday because this was Thursday. There was a full Thursday to Sunday stretch of games, but it was revealed on Saturday that he did indeed break a vertebrae in his back.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be out roughly 6 to 10 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So the Cowboys already named pretty much the best player in preseason, in my opinion. Rookie out of Mississippi State, Dak Prescott, their starting quarterback for week 1. He played quite well after replacing Romo. He obviously played against Seattle's starting defense, the Legion of Boom in Seattle. He went 17 of 23 for 116 yards and 1 touchdown. He also added 12 yards rushing on the ground because he does have that added mobility. So we also saw the debut of rookie first-round pick out of Ohio State, Ezekiel Elliott. He had quite a good game. He ran 7 times for 48 yards. He looked really solid out there, really good in blitz pickup, really good, you know, protecting running back. He looked quite good out there. So when I look at the Cowboys now, you have the Cowboys who maybe were vying for a division crown. You and I had talked, you know, off air about this. I thought that the Giants were the favorite to win the division, and the team I thought would win the division. I thought Dallas could be in contention, but now I got to say, you know, if you thought Dallas were maybe 10-6, now you maybe have them at 6-10.
I kind of have them about 8 wins, honestly. I still think they have a really good nucleus. I think Dak has played really well, and it hasn't been like against second-teamers. He's started a few different games this preseason. He's looked good. I'm not saying that he can carry them, you know, without seeing this added, you know.
It's hard to say.
But, you know, it takes a lot off a rookie, even if you have another rookie behind you, to have a rookie quarterback, to have a rookie running back who is looking like Ezekiel looks like he's going to play, you know. One thing, though, I was impressed by him is he blitz pickup was really good, but he wasn't, you know, shying away from contact. There was the play he ran right
through Cam Chancellor.
And that was really that was nice to see. He said Cam Chancellor said it surprised him a little bit. You know, after the game, he was saying that he didn't expect him to go for him like that. And I would say he probably won that one too, because Cam didn't necessarily get blown up or anything. They kind of stood one another up, but Cam didn't necessarily make the tackle either. Some other guys came in and it kind of ended it. So, excuse me. I think they still have a chance in this one. Their division is very weak, in my eyes, as of right now.
I really like the Giants this year. I think the Giants could be really good. They lost a lot of close games last year that they should have won.
Their
I think
offense
this year
still
they
looks
can
pretty abysmal, though.
I think this year they can sort of correct that. When I look at the Cowboys, I think that this Tony Romo injury, ironically, this could be a blessing in disguise. Here's why I say that. Because obviously Romo's not your future. You know, he's about to be 35 years old. He's coming off the clavicle injuries, the bad back. Now he has another broken bone in his back. He cannot stay healthy at all. So with Dak Prescott, you kind of have to throw him to the wolves a little bit, and you can see what he's really made of. Because he's had a great preseason, don't get me wrong, but now it's when the games actually count. Now this is where you're really going to make your money's worth, is what you do in the regular season. So if he comes out and he plays anything remotely close to what he has in this preseason, you know that you have your starting quarterback for the next 10, 12 years, barring injuries, of course. But if he comes out and he plays bad, then you have them saying, okay, maybe we need to invest in a quarterback next year, possibly in the first round. Because they were 4-12 last year. Let's say Dak Prescott does great, then they have their whole franchise set at the quarterback position. But let's say he doesn't do too great. Then you have the option of, okay, do we maybe go out and try and draft someone like Deshaun Watson from Clemson, who looks like he's probably the best quarterback coming out of college as it stands right now? You have that option out there of what you need to do. So you can kind of say this might be a blessing in disguise because you can figure out the stability of your franchise this year for the next 10 years to come. You know what I'm saying? Because it's obviously not Tony Romo.
No, I mean, you had to be looking at that even if he wasn't getting injured, you know. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
You have a stretch of 4 games for Dak to start. They could be harder. They could be easier. You know, they're kind of middle ground. You have the Giants and Redskins back-to-back weeks, and then the Bears and the Niners to close out the first 4 weeks there for Dak. So interesting to see, you know, how he handles that.
I'd say if they go 2-2 in that stretch, I think that'd be pretty good. I'd say week 1, they are at home against the Giants. I think that's probably a loss. Against Washington,
I think they can win that game.
Against
I
Washington,
think
the
Washington's
Cowboys
the
always
favorite.
struggle.
I think Washington's the favorite in this division for me.
They should definitely be in contention to beat the Bears, and I think they should be able to beat the Niners.
I do too.
So I'd say if they can go 2-2 in that stretch, I think they'd be where I would expect them to be.
And then in the last, you know, if Romo is done, you know, back, you know, in 6 weeks at the earliest, you know, it's 6-10 weeks. If he's all good, like it's not horrible, 5 and 6 are real tests for them, and that's the Bengals and the Packers back to back. So we'll see how they stand from there. Let's take our first break. You know, we talked a little bit on that. We have more football, but
Yes, we do.
Let's take a quick break, and then we'll be back to talk some more news and some more notable news out of the preseason. So we'll be right back here at the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
All right, and we're back here at the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast, and we're going to get right back into NFL football here, and we're going to talk the 49ers playing Ben's favorite team, the Green Bay Packers, who are still undefeated in the preseason, winning that game 21-10. But that's not the biggest story out of this game, Ben.
Not at all. We had the debut or the preseason debut of Colin Kaepernick, San Francisco 49ers quarterback. He made quite some headlines, obviously, of some actions he did.
On and off the field.
On and off the field. But on the field, he didn't really do too well. He was only 2 of 6 for 14 yards, and he added 4 carries for 18 yards. He had 1 scramble there for 10 yards. Got close to picking up a first down, but he was dragged down just short on third down. I did get to see that play. So he didn't do quite too well. A lot of reports now surfacing from Jay Glazer at Fox saying that he believes Kaepernick is facing, quote-unquote, an uphill battle to even make the roster, not necessarily because of his, political views, but
which we'll get into in a sec.
Really just his, performance on the field. He's coming off multiple surgeries. He really isn't in much shape. He lost a lot of muscle mass. That declined last year, the year before that, leading into this preseason now, that the Niners could just say, forget about it and then just really cut him. That's a possibility.
Well, I mean, look at this, too. I mean, think of it this way. He had 14 yards passing on 2 of 6, right? One completion was 12 yards.
So the other completion was 2.
Yep.
And right now, as it stands, they do have 4 quarterbacks. Blaine Gabbert, Kaepernick, Christian Ponder, who they just added a couple weeks ago, and then Jeff Driscoll, the rookie from Florida. So they do have 4 quarterbacks. They're obviously not going to keep 4 quarterbacks. They got to get rid of at least somebody.
You would imagine Ponder, but there's the
who knows
in which they could release Kaepernick. So.
Who knows? I mean, Aaron Rodgers looked pretty sharp. He only played 2 drives. It's preseason debut, and he only played 2 drives. I would not imagine he would play in the 4th preseason game.
I don't think so.
So he went 6 of 9 for 60 yards and threw a 6-yard touchdown to Randall Cobb. He looked really, really sharp out there. The Packers' offense looks pretty good. Eddie Lacy continues, in my eyes, a really good preseason. He had 7 carries for 45 yards. had a 21-yard run as well.
Hey, how about Joe Callahan, man?
Yeah, how about that?
Look at throwing against his body, running the outside. I liked it.
That's good. I'm glad you liked it.
Liked it a lot.
I mean,
give your boy some credit.
Okay, kudos.
What about Geronimo Allison?
Oh, I mean, he looked great out there. He led the team in receiving with 78 yards. One guy I was really impressed with, Jared Cook. He had 4 catches for 54 yards. He really looked like maybe he could be a target for Aaron Rodgers and this passing attack. You think he's just come over in free agency, formerly of the Rams, the Titans before that.
Do you think Abbrederis gets some more play because of some injuries in the receiving core, kind of things he could do there for the receivers? Think Abbrederis gets some more play time?
I mean, it's possible. When you look at the Packers, they are a team who is definitely not afraid of going 4 wide, 5 wide at times. Obviously, a heavy passing attack when you have, in some people's eyes, the best quarterback in football. So when you have that, there's definitely, not any reason that they couldn't go with Abbrederis. I think really Devontae Adams this preseason has sort of solidified himself as the Packers' number 3 receiver behind Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb. Adams had only had 1 catch on Friday night, but he was targeted 4 times. So Aaron Rodgers, maybe with Jordy Nelson back, can sort of get Adams back on track. He had a decent rookie year and then kind of struggled last year. So
he had some little injuries here and there, that really hampered him, I feel like.
Yeah, so
it makes sense.
I mean, it's possible, but they have a lot of players that they could target. You have Abbrederis, you have Ty Montgomery, who they drafted last year from Stanford. Mm-hmm. You have Jeff Janis, the playoff hero against the Cardinals.
His hand's broken.
So I mean, yeah, but he's obviously injured right now. But they have a lot of threats that they go with.
Yeah, they do. And I think it was a good game. Obviously, it was overshadowed by we're not going to get very much into it, but the whole Colin Kaepernick news,
sitting down for the anthem.
Down for the anthem, yeah, whether it's wrong, whether it's right. That's quite the stir, in the proverbial NFL media pot, you could say. And we're going to keep you updated on that, obviously, as we get more news. People not necessarily happy with it. Some people that thought it was really great. So, it goes as it is.
As far as the game goes, we can both agree that Blaine Gabbert looks like the starter for the Niners.
Yes, I can agree with you on that. Okay, let's move to one that is more so just straight football, and that's what we like. And the Broncos and the Rams. The Broncos did lose that one, like I said, 9-17. Trevor Siemian, though, did seem to maybe cement himself as the starter, going 10 for 17, 122 and a touchdown. Mark Sanchez did not play in this game.
Yeah.
Ben and I don't, we had a discussion before the show started. Is that a tell, or is that just more, you know what you get with Kaepernick? Here we have a guy, we want to see more of him going in. He did play well, though. Excuse me. It was a nice performance. Does this look to you like he's the starter heading into week 1 now?
I really do think so. I mean, there's really no reason that they couldn't play Mark Sanchez at all. Trevor Siemian played the first half, really. Then you had Paxton Lynch come in and back him up for the rest of the game. I feel like if they were sure that they knew what they had with Sanchez, then they wouldn't play him. I really wouldn't understand that. I still think he would get at least some reps. You know what I mean? It's his first year in Kubiak's offense, trying to get up to speed with everything. I feel like this was kind of Trevor Siemian's, okay, if you play decent, we're going to give you a lot of time here. If you play decent, the job is yours. If you don't play too good, then we're going to throw it over to Sanchez.
Yeah.
And with them not even playing Sanchez, I think that means that they were impressed, at least, with what Siemian said. Gary Kubiak said he did a lot of things good. He was really happy with his performance. So I really think the job is Siemian's now.
Yeah, I think Siemian's going to go into week 1 against the Panthers there as the starter. I think it is his job to lose. He'll probably play a little bit in the 4th preseason game, But I think it's definitely his job now. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Sanchez he is there. He can take over that duty if he has to. I think he's more than happy to do so. I just think that it is Simeon's done everything he needs to do. I think he's done everything right. Everything that you want out of him. And I think that it's his job going into the season for sure. I mean, he's been the guy I wanted to see get the job. So I think it's his. I think it's his for the taking, and I think he did enough to take it. I
agree. Yeah, I agree. I think, like I said, with them not even playing Sanchez, that's got to be bad news.
Yeah, no, understandable. Like I said, too, it could be that they know what they have with him. They want to see more from Siemian, but I get what you mean. All right, or more from Lynch too. They let him pretty much play the entire second half.
Yeah, he went 6 of 13 for 57 yards. He also added 1 yard on the ground. He is kind of a mobile guy, so he does have that added element where the other two don't really. So, I still think it's Siemian's job. So,
all right.
Also, we're going to touch up now before we end this segment talking about some of the notable Week 3 performances. Obviously, with it being the dress rehearsal, you see a lot of the starting first-team depth charts on offense and defense playing a lot longer, playing at least into the first quarter, sometimes second quarter. So some big stand-up performers. For me, the top performer of the week was Jameis Winston and Mike Evans. So Mike Evans had 5 catches for 115 yards and 1 touchdown. Jameis Winston looked really, really solid as well. Threw for 259 yards and 2 scores on 16 of 25 passing.
I like that. All right. I had them as some pretty good performers as well. I can't help but be somewhat of a little bit of a homer here, but I feel like even if I wasn't a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I would still think that this was a very good performance, and that was the first performance of the starters of Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger. I want to say they played about 2 series together, right? 2 series. Ben ended the day with 100 and... I'm going to pull up his numbers just to be sure, but Ben ended the game with 2 touchdown passes. Landry Jones also played much better in this game after 4 interceptions.
He really played bad against
I don't think
the Eagles.
2 of those were his fault. Both batted, but I digress. So Ben ended 12 for 17, 148 and 2 touchdowns, and Antonio ended 4 for 87 and 1 touchdown. And they pretty much played 2 series.
Much of what you would expect from those two. So.
Yeah, it was really impressive. I was like, man, they're on it. They're in midseason form. Ben moved
and in the first
tackle,
action of the
Cam
preseason,
Jordan, yeah,
you know what I mean.
First
like you would expect maybe a little bit of a rust. Your first time seeing game action, but not at all.
A little bit of rust.
The same thing with
Rustlesberger.
The same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Like I was surprised. It was his first action of the preseason, and he only played 2 drives. It's like, oh, okay, Aaron's good to go. Like let's just give him a rest now.
Okay, get Aaron out.
You know what I mean? Like I was like, wow, like that's it, 2 series.
Yeah, so it happens every year. Some guys don't need the same time everybody else needs.
Like Adrian
Brady's
Peterson.
First action this weekend, he looked great. He looked, and it's not unreasonable that he looked light years ahead of Garoppolo. So
yeah, Adrian Peterson never plays in the preseason, and yet he always just beasts it when he gets into the regular season.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Okay, so a few more stand-up performers I saw from this weekend. Really, a stand-up performer we talked about in Week 1 was the Tennessee Titans backfield, and they were back at it again. So Derrick Henry,
seems like each week with them.
Derrick Henry rushes 12 times for 49 yards. The defending Heisman Trophy winner, rookie out of Alabama. He had 12 carries, 49 yards, and a touchdown. And DeMarco Murray goes 8 carries for 40 yards and a touchdown. The Tennessee Titans backfield, that 1-2 punch between Murray and Henry could be pretty nasty.
Mm-hmm. It looks good. You have somebody who can, Murray's the kind of running back who can elude you, but he can also kind of give you a little bit of that power. And then
they remind me a lot of the same guy. Murray a little more elusive with Henry's power. He's a lot more of a pass catcher. Is DeMarco Murray? Derrick Henry's not really a receiving threat.
Not as much,
but they're similar guys.
Yeah, very similar in a sense. But Henry is a monster. He'll run through you. He'll run at you. He'll run over you. Dude's insane. He's insane. I agree. They've looked good this entire preseason.
Yeah, that's a couple of people that I thought really, really stood out to me. In Tennessee, with as far as the AFC South, you really have a lot of question marks. You have the Colts with Andrew Luck coming back, probably in my eyes as the favorites. You have Houston, who won it last year, bringing in a brand new quarterback in Brock Osweiler coming over from Denver. You have Jacksonville, who is a lot of people's trendy pick to maybe win the division, get a playoff berth. Then you have Tennessee with a lot of these young guys, Mariota, Henry, DeMarco Murray, making that trade with the Rams for the number 1 pick to trade down, getting a lot of picks within years to come. A team who's maybe a year or 2 away from really becoming a serious threat. So you have, in my eyes, the AFC South, a lot of question marks as to really a standout team in my eyes.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think they're looking pretty good. They look good in this entire preseason. It's going to be a team that can be, with, like you said, with the type of backfield and type of quarterback they have, they can be a very intriguing offense to watch. Very much so.
Yeah, I agree.
They'd be a fun team, a fun little. May not win a lot of games, but they could be a fun little team to watch. I'll tell you that.
They could. That's a lot like Jacksonville too. A really fun, interesting
you just took the
team.
words right out of my brain.
Well, great minds think alike, so.
This is true. Okay, well, we got to take one last break. I know, it's so sad. We're going to take one last break, though, and we'll be back to talk the rest of the news of the day here at the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
All right, and we're back here at the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast, and we're going to get into some baseball news. We're just going to kind of recap a wild weekend of action starting Thursday. We're talking the other day about some MLB races and really getting down to the wire here. Well, the Dodgers finished their series with the Giants, and they did win 2 of 3 there, but the notable one would be Thursday, and Matt Moore nearly threw a no-hitter. He threw a one-hitter, taking it all the way to 2 outs in the 9th.
He was 1 out away from a no-hitter.
I was watching it. It was pretty, it was heartbreaking. It really was. As Vin Scully said it, quote, "It's almost unfair." In his career, man, that dude has seen 21 no-hitters.
He's been around for, a little bit of a time, so.
20. That would have been his 21st,
He's been announcing games for a few years now, so.
He knew Jackie Robinson. You could say that, yeah. This would have been the first. The Giants haven't no-hit the Dodgers since, well, they were the Brooklyn Robins, and it was 1915. So it would have been the first time that happened. But what that is relevant to is then fast forward to a 3-game series with the Braves, and the Giants won 7-0. They did end up losing, I think, like 2-1 on Saturday. But yesterday, they ended up winning 13-3, had an 8-run. Now, you didn't hear me wrong. 8-run, 7th inning. Bumgarner pitched great. You get backed by 4 home runs, 2 by Joe Panik, and 3 triples, all in the 7th inning, something that's never been done by the team in history. You look at it as this possibly a point in which the Giants lift off. We've seen it before, especially in the whole even year thing. You had the Dodgers playing the Cubs. You want to have, you wanted to get a win on them. The Giants, you wanted to pick up a game, and they ended up on a crazy play, bases loaded infield single. They ended up, scoring 1 run against the Cubs, and that's all they needed. So they were unable to pick up any games really this weekend. But is this really where the race gets down to the wire? They end the season with one another. I actually get to go to those games this year, the Dodger-Giants games in San Francisco. They end the year against one another. Is this, another case of where we see the turning point for them,
It's quite possible. I mean, when I look at both these teams, I don't see anybody beating the Cubs strictly in baseball.
It depends. The Dodgers have beat them before. The Giants earlier in the year beat them. It's just all about timing. When you get in that right flow, anybody can beat anybody. That's what I like about baseball.
Yeah, playoffs are a lot different. A lot of times you look at starting pitching to really carry.
Exactly.
The Cubs
especially
have
with
that.
Series, you can have a team that are weak in a 5-man rotation, but if it's a best of 5, you only need 3 good starts. And the Giants say they have 3 really solid top starters. Or certain teams might have 2 really good, solid top starters, and then just hope the 3rd game they have really good offense and their bullpen takes it. So you're right. It is really different in that aspect.
Yeah, so honestly, I still like the Cubs, period, in baseball. They have that good balance between a great starting rotation and then good hitting.
Favorites.
So I think the Giants have really been that team that's really disappointed since the All-Star break. The Dodgers have really played to pretty much everybody's surprise without Clayton Kershaw. They've looked just as good without him now for a couple months. Mm-hmm. If Kershaw can sort of come back and be the Kershaw of old and add on to this team, I think they'll probably make some noise. I still expect them to win the division.
Yeah.
But honestly, you talked about it maybe going down to that stretch the last couple of games. I wouldn't be surprised if it does. These teams always seem to battle it out right at the end.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll leave you on 2 things with them before we move to another team. In the 3 even World Series years the Giants have had, 1 year they won the division against the Padres on the last day of the entire season, and the other 2 they're wildcard teams. So, if you're one of those Giants fans that really loves the whole even year idea, you're not really sweating. It's what they penned it back in 2010, the whole torture, baseball, watching these games because it's frustrating, but at the same time, if you're used to it. So if you're all about that, torture thing and all the even year thing, you're not really worried about it. But Kershaw of old. You say come back and be the Kershaw of old for them. He doesn't win in the postseason. So
yeah,
we'll see about that.
But still, you have to really respect who he is, and that anytime he goes out there,
he was by far the NL favorite for the Cy Young. He
had a good postseason last year. Before that, not so much. But last year, he really sort of silenced the critics at least a little bit. So, but yeah, I still see the Cubs as the favorite.
I do too. Moving to the reigning baseball champions, the Royals, who, funny enough, played the Giants in the year before that, one of their even years in the World Series. Just to finish, again, we're talking MLB races here. They came alive for 8 runs of their own in the 6th inning yesterday against the Red Sox. It's their 7th consecutive win. Talk about a team on the run, especially against a team that's been, highly touted all year with the Red Sox. David Ortiz hit another home run. I think it's his 31st of the year. Is this a team that's, grooving at the right time? 7 straight wins, defending World Series champions, a team expected to be in the hunt. It's just a team that's moving towards that position.
It's possible. They have been playing really good baseball as of late. They were on a 9-game winning streak last week until they got snapped by the Miami Marlins and Jose Fernandez, who is literally unbeatable at home. He just does not lose at home.
Not very often.
So when I look at the Royals, they are 3 games back of a wild card spot right now. Really a lot of that because of how they've been playing lately. I still don't see the Royals as a team that can really, really battle. They're still in contention, but they don't nearly have the starting rotation of some other teams. Their lineup is kind of shaky. I don't see them getting a playoff spot. I really think that all 3 teams that have the AL East, between the Toronto Blue Jays, the Baltimore Orioles, and the Boston Red Sox, get into the postseason. Obviously, you have the division winner and then 2 wild cards. And that's how it stands right now. So the Orioles have a 2-game lead over Detroit for that last wild card spot, and the Blue Jays have the division lead right now. So I see all 3 teams from the AL East getting into the playoffs.
Well, like you said, they won in 9 last week. They're 11 of their last 13. They are playing good ball. I could go further back than that in terms of, even more wins. They added 3 wins in the week prior to that. So if you want to go as much as, 15 of 18, they are hot right now. But I agree with you. That division is going to come right down to the wire. And then lastly, we're going to move to a player, and that is Gary Sanchez, who is just playing out of his mind. 11 home runs in only 81 at-bats so far, matching the record in the MLB for fewest ABs to reach 11 home runs. He's going crazy, man.
Yeah, he was the 3rd fastest guy to hit 10 home runs. You talked about the number of at-bats for the New York Yankees. Really, the Yankees just kind of turning a whole nother page in their franchise. You look at how they're doing it now, getting younger, sellers at the trade deadline, getting young. You have people as well as Sanchez. You have people like Aaron Judge who are playing good for the Yankees. Some of these young guys calling themselves like the Baby Bombers.
I like that name.
So the Yankees may be a team a year or 2 away from being kind of like the Cubs, that young up-and-coming team that are going to challenge, which you normally don't see from New York. You see really just buying everyone in free agency and then just having a juggernaut team of all-stars. It's a lot different now.
Yeah, and you have the AL wild card is jam-packed. Obviously, the AL East is very packed as well, with the Red Sox only being 2 games out, the Orioles being 3 games out. Currently, the AL wild card, though, is pretty tight. You have the Red Sox in the first spot, the Orioles in the second spot, possibly having 3 teams, like you said, in the AL playoffs from the East there. But you also have the Tigers, Astros, Royals, and Mariners separated by 2 and 3 games apiece. And the Reds and the Yankees, weirdly enough, are still in there, 3.5 games. So, it's crazy. I think what's probably setting them apart, though, is the fact that, Ben, they got rid of somebody who had the audacity to paint hair on his head.
You must be talking about Carlos Beltran.
I wasn't talking about Carlos Boozer.
Well, Carlos Boozer's hair paint job looks 20 times better than Beltran. Did you see that over the weekend?
Yeah, that's why I bring it up.
It looked like someone just took a spray can and just,
I feel like
brushed it up a little bit.
I feel like my description of it was best. I'm sorry, Ben, but it looks like the press and seal stuff, the spray on, press and seal commercials they have.
I only got one thing to say, but that lineup though,
it looks crooked. It looks like a bad cartoon.
I don't know.
It looks like a bad video game hair.
Why do you even do this?
It looks like somebody Sharpied hair on his head.
What's the point?
I don't know, man. I don't get it.
Come on, dude.
All right, well, let's update the rest of the weekend, and let's get out of here.
So, he made quite some headlines. But over the weekend, some other teams making
headlines.
some you
quite a few headlines on his own head.
You like how I did
some
that?
Crooked headlines, yeah. Go ahead.
So we have the Little League World Series concluding yesterday. We have New York defeating South Korea 2-1. This is the first time the United States has won the Little League World Series since 2011.
Yeah.
And the first time the state of New York has won the Little League World Series since 1964. So that's great. That's great for the United States and great for New York. We have Ryan Harlost tossing a complete game, 1-run win, defeating South Korea.
What? That's some good stuff for that kid, right? You telling me?
Yeah, like a lot of times when you look at the Little League World Series, you see, South Korea, Japan, Chinese Taipei really dominate, the international scene and winning the Little League World Series for the last 4 years going into this one until the United States won yesterday.
I'm happy for the kids, man. The Little League World Series is fun to watch. It really is.
It's some of these kids that are like 12, 11, 12, 13 years old. They're just massive. It's like, how much vegetables are you eating? These kids sometimes are like 5'10", 6 foot tall.
Yeah, there's a 12-year-old as big as me, man.
Like, they're just huge.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's crazy.
It's crazy. I'm with you. Oh, man. What else we got?
Okay, so last night, the Kings, Sacramento Kings here, they have a new point guard.
Yes, they do.
So the Kings have decided to sign Ty Lawson on a 1-year deal, formerly of the Rockets and the Pacers. Ty Lawson, a guy who has had success as of, in his NBA career, was pretty good with the Denver Nuggets, but now he's had a lot of off-the-court incidents that have kind of stunted his career, and the Kings obviously need to make a decision on a point guard because Darren Collison is also possibly facing a suspension for domestic violence. Rajon Rondo went to Chicago Bulls in the offseason as a free agent, so they need a lot of help there. So now they have Ty Lawson on a 1-year deal. I look at it as kind of a low-risk, high-reward, a guy who's capable of playing good if he can get his mindset right. So
yeah, he's shown it before. Like you said, the big thing, capable if he can get his mind right. That's the biggest thing in my eyes.
And then last but not least, over the weekend, we have Patrick Reed winning the 2016 Barclays Tournament at 9 under par. Yeah. He jumped from 7th in the FedEx Cup standings to 1st, and he also clinched himself a Ryder Cup spot for the United States.
Yeah, he handled business this weekend, man. It was a really good tournament. I got to catch a little bit of it. I was house sitting again this week, so I know I house sit a lot. My mom's friend I've been house sitting for, she's a teacher, so she's currently off track. She's taking all of the advantage she can of that off track time,
Yeah, Ricky Fowler came into the day as the clubhouse leader, but he kind of faltered. He had a 3-over round. So Ricky Fowler and his mustache.
That's Mr. Ricky Mustache Fowler. Yeah, poor guy.
Unfortunately did not get the job done at the Barclays.
Okay, well, that's the news we had for the weekend. Of course, like I said, we're going to be back tomorrow. It's just going to be me because Ben hates me and thinks education is more important than me.
I don't hate you.
Ben hates me. So we're going to it's just going to be me and you guys tomorrow. But because that's the case, Ben, you're going to tell them where they can find us.
Okay. So you can find us on a number of different platforms. You can find us on our website. It's gsmcpodcast.com. Make sure you click on the portfolio of podcasts. On the sports one, you can find every episode we have on there. And then we are going 5 days a week, so they're constantly going to be updated with fresh episodes for you to listen. You can also find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at GSMC_sports. If you'd like, you can listen to us on YouTube, as well as you can like us on Facebook and get all of our content straight through Facebook.
Yeah, you can do that. Good job, Ben.
Thank you.
You were pretty good at that. It's like you've done it before.
A few times.
All right. Well, you dog. Okay, well, we're going to get out of here. I have a football show to record next, but as always, we'd like to thank you guys for listening. I am Alex.
I'm Ben.
And I'll see you guys tomorrow.
I'll see you guys Wednesday.
You guys have a good one.